Hello, this is the first of 4 short excerpts from episode 16 of the Gale Hill Radio Hour, featuring Zane DeLong, artist, filmmaker, IT professional, and YouTube creator of Welcome to the Mess Lab. I'm your host, Kate Jones, asking Zane to explain his channel. I don't think I can do your channel justice. So would you explain Welcome to the Mess Lab? And that would be mess as in messy.
Yes. I think so. The channel is kind of about, it's a way of creating a platform for deep criticism in kind of the older sense of the word, and it's more of an kind of an artistic statement in itself, where the criticism builds off of something else, right? In this case, it's movies, right? And that's what it is at the moment. I think that it's going to expand in different ways, but at the moment, I'm focusing on that specifically.
That sounds good. How would you describe your commentaries about film? It really doesn't seem as if the term movie reviews accurately describes them.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'm going to borrow some statements basically from friends who have watched it. I think that's actually the best way because, someone else's opinion is that's a good idea. Self-awareness to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they are, what I like about good criticism is that it builds off of the piece that it's talking about, right? And so my videos are a statement about something, right? The way I introduce each of these movies is I introduce a topic we can all relate to first, and I try to do it as stylishly as possible. It is a YouTube video. And then kind of go into the movie, and do as much analysis as is necessary throughout the video, and then close it out with here is the wrap-up of the themes of the movie, then the wrap-up of the themes I introduced at the beginning. I think, we can talk about so many things that way, and also it helps us kind of look beyond what the movie, because, we all have a lot going on in our heads, right? And the idea is to spark that thing that reminds us, to get us to feel something, right? And I definitely am kind of being a little generalized here, but I think when you are able to spark that, when you're able to provide something that is succinct and direct enough that it can spark something beyond the meaning of the piece itself, you've done a good job. And I hope that's, what shows.
Interesting. And your commentaries have a lot of depth. And in fact, you have different ones that you do, and you have 5 that you call movies from the deep. So they really are. They do have depth. And then you have one called Impressions from Beneath. And then on this channel, you have a music video that we'll talk about a little bit later. But how about if we start with your recent movie from the deep about the movie Surf 2. In your description of this film, you write, "What does the feeling of doom and surfing have in common?" What indeed? So please explain.
Yeah, so part of that is, I kind of want a clickbaity title, but I'm trying to work with what I have with something that is genuine, right? And it is about doom. I mean, it's about, but not the I introduced with talking about the game Doom, because that's been trending lately. But then immediately within the first 20 seconds, something else. This is actually what we're talking about. But the sense of there's a sense of information overload in our current sense of it. There is, but
so true.
With lots of social media and all that stuff. And I don't necessarily mention that specifically, but just how kind of where does this information overload come from, right? It's about current events usually. Like that's almost all. Well, it's always about current events. And so then I try to filter that through how Surf 2 communicates its um, overload, because the movie is wild and it's kind of a mess, but it's a fascinating mess, right? Whenever I see a like whenever I see a movie where, like, on the back of the box or the description or whatever, if they have trouble describing it there, like, I'm interested.
Huh.
Because that tells to me that there's usually some sort of like a really kind of deep vision. It may be lost in there. Like, don't get me wrong, it definitely was in Surf 2, but like it's definitely something to say, though. It absolutely has something to say about kind of overwhelm, about like comparing yourself to others, about like the way that like between like marketing and aesthetics of other people, comparing yourself to that. It has a lot to say about that. And I wanted to dig that out. I wanted to like create a statement that was organized, and then use this movie as a jumping off point for that statement.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. And so, even though the description of the film isn't very well put, it doesn't really give you an idea of the theme of the movie, what would you say? How would you describe Surf 2?
I would say it's a movie that's kind of in conflict with itself. It is in conflict with itself. It wants to be like simultaneously this goofy like airplane style comedy. It has a lot of like airplane style jokes, situational comedy, but also it wants to. It kind of, you kind of see like anxieties like come through it, like lots of anxieties.
Yes, it wants to
like,
disturb you, the viewer.
Yeah. So, but it wants to do both of those at the same time, and that's really awkward. And I'm not saying it can't be done, right? But like, it's fascinating because of that. I mean, it is a good movie. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's a bit of a mess, yes, but like, it is a good movie because it elicits those feelings. I'm not sure that everyone is going to have that opinion, right? Lots of reviews on the internet of it are just like, oh, it fails at everything it does. Well, it fails at being a comedy mostly, yeah, but like, it uses that comedy as a way to kind of cope with the anxieties it's portraying, and so on that level, it's a lot more. It's actually quite good as a movie,
Wow. So it's worth it for that, because, right. and again, going back to what connects us right now, especially in current, in modern society, is that we are anxious.
Yeah.
Very
100%.
Interesting. So how long ago was that made?
Oh, let's see. I think 82. Let me actually look that up here. It was 82 or 84.
Oh, it's in the 80s, though. So it's not, I mean, well, of course, our anxiety has continued for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was 84. It was actually released in a cut version, and with like additional like added shots by the producers. And I actually haven't seen that original theatrical version. There was a recent restoration done on the director's cut. That's what I talked about. That's what I've seen. But originally it was like recut to be kind of more of a teen sex comedy. They put like more nudity in it and stuff in the theatrical cut, whereas the current one doesn't have much of that. It's like it's there, but not much. It's more about, it's kind of like it's more of that weird clash that comes through.
Is the movie significant for anybody who's in it, or the director, or anything like that? Or is it mainly the theme that emerged about anxiety?
I think it's mostly the theme. It wasn't like, it's not exactly an easy movie to market, like it's you have a lot of big players in it, like Eddie Deason, who was in Grease 2, Eric Stoltz, who was in Pulp Fiction and many other things, like Linda Carriage, who was kind of a cult film person. She was in Fade to Black and Alien from LA. Cleavon Little, who did Blazing Saddles, and it's so much more. Oh, Terry Kaiser, who was Bernie, I believe, in Weekend at Bernie's.
Okay.
So it's got a lot of big names, but I think it was more of like, I'm not sure that it did a whole lot for those folks. I think it was more to do a lot for the movie. You know what I mean?
Right. Get somebody to watch it, perhaps.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. So why did you decide to include that? Why was this one of your movies from the deep?
Oh, it just spoke to me, I thought, also part of it was, there were recognizable names in it, too. I could possibly use that as a thing. I don't know. I'm trying out things for the YouTube channel.
This is Kate again. To hear more about Welcome to the Mess Lab, you'll find other excerpts on this channel and the entire Gale Hill Radio Hour episode 16 on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcasts, iHeart, and other podcast directories.